Joining us today. I'm Sophia with Garden State Film Festival. It is the 21st anniversary. We have over 230 films from 23 countries, and one of the short films there will be The Old Guitarist, a beautiful piece written and directed by Will Nunziata, who I have right here in the room. Will, it has been a pleasure meeting you virtually, and I'm so excited to meet you in person. Thank you for
Sophia, I
joining me.
cannot wait to meet you in person. And I just wish people were seeing what we were talking about off camera. You and the festival director, Tatiana, such great vibrations, such beautiful light. And so I'm absolutely thrilled and honored to be here with you this evening.
Thank you. Your words mean so much. And also, filmmakers in general, I love them because they're so creative and talented. But then I get to meet them behind the scenes, and you blow me away with your personality and your charisma. So I am so honored to interview you today. Let's get this started. Stop with the compliments because we'll do this all day.
You're
Let's
right.
talk about The Old Guitarist. Can you tell everyone a
Sure.
little bit about yourself and about the film?
Absolutely. Well, a little bit about the film. It came about, kind of in a dream. So, long story short, my famous last words, and watch this sentence now be 5 hours long. And my husband's watching, Joseph. Hello, Joseph. So he knows my ballast, my person who grounds me. I had a dream about a year ago about this painting that I've been obsessed with since I was a kid, the Pablo Picasso's Old Guitarist. And I've always been fascinated with what is going on exactly with that old guitarist and in his mind when that painting was done of him. And so my dream was essentially us eavesdropping in on the psyche of the old guitarist. And the person I saw in my dream was my friend of over 25 years, the great Dominic Chianese, who people might know from The Godfather Part 2, Uncle Junior and The Sopranos. And that's back in January of 2022. Fast forward, end of February 2022. I know Dominic lives in London. It's a pandemic. I figure he's probably still there. I hadn't seen him in 5 years. He's at an outdoor cafe drinking red wine at one, as all Italians do. And I think it was February 27th of 2022. One of those Italian restaurants with the red awning. I'm sorry for not giving a plug to it. And he calls me Willie because he's known me since I was literally a kid. And I was Willie back then, but that's, for therapy and for another time. My name is Will now. But he goes, Willie. And I go, Dominic. And he goes, how are you? And creepy Will goes, I just had a dream about you. He took a sip and said, sit down. And so I told him, and I painted the picture of what I wanted to do with the film, have it be a silent film, in that the script be truly the action and mainly the guitar playing and the close-ups, and have that be the writing. And he was in. He flew in from London, and we shot it in one day. And that's the long-winded answer of that's how the old guitars came about.
What a story. I'm so happy that you told us in detail about this because I love how that came about and how amazing synchronistic is it just seeing Dominic and knowing it was meant to be for you to make The Old Guitarist.
You know what it is, Sophia? It reminds me, not only as an artist, but just as a human being of the planet, it reminds me that if you have an idea that seems to stick with you for a while and seems to vibrate within you, don't let go of it. And, it's something that I love to tell students when I do master classes. It's, if you have an idea or a dream, at the very least, write it down, because you never know how it's going to manifest. Thank God I wrote down this crazy dream of Dominic as the old guitarist in Pablo Picasso's painting. In my mind, it's like, I didn't even know how those would even come together. But I really believe, not to get woo-woo, but when you release it, I feel like you let the universe conspire, and
And it
that's how
makes
it
it
happened.
happen. I love it. I love it. I get chills. I'm so inspired. So you talk about the music and you talked about you seeing this dream in your head because this film is so visually pleasing and so audibly pleasing, if that's the word. It's really led by music and these visuals and the wonderful acting that we see. And so much of it, all the elements are just so wonderful. So what kind of came first, the music in your head or seeing it in your head, or was it kind of both?
I knew what the sensibility and the emotional landscape needed to be for both the music and the shots.
Mm.
I am a firm believer in knowing where my skill set begins and ends, I brought on an incredible director of photography, Luke Momo, and the amazing, amazing composer and guitarist, John T. La Barbera. And John T. La Barbera and Dominic happened to also be friends for years. So there's already a shorthand there. So what I basically did, I knew shot wise what I wanted. Luke executed with me, nagging him in his ear, but with kindness. And again, I knew being a musician at heart. I was a singer for 25 years professionally. God bless. I knew what the the emotional and tempi landscape needed to be. So while shooting it, I kind of had a feel of the music, but then I got to give it to the beautiful, again, John T. La Barbera, who knows Dominic. Again, they have a shorthand. So he was able to build that language through composition and his guitar playing. That you know what it is, Sophia? I had to let go of the fact that I have to remind myself, like, what's the assignment? And the assignment for me was to create a gem of a piece for Dominic, period. The fact that we also got to include two of my friends as part of the memory. It's truly a memory piece of the wife, Aiden Scott, played by the amazing Aiden Sky, who's a friend and collaborator on many pieces. Mike Cefalo, who played the young guitarist, who is about to make his Broadway debut in the musical New York, New York. It was a really great opportunity to see the vision come to life and just accept that that even though, of course, in my mind, I'm like, ooh, I would love to do this as a longer film. It's okay that it was a 6.5-minute gem that I wanted to create for Dominic. That's,
Right.
again, the long-winded answer.
Wow. No, I'm holding on to every single word, and it's all so important. When you say you handed it over to the composer, what exactly did you hand over? An example of the music, or the film was done and you gave it to him and he composed over that?
More the latter. I definitely gave him I gave him an edit, the first edit of the film,
Okay.
before he then composed under it and with it. He breathed with it. And frankly, part of my editing in really was dictated by that first pass by John, because he was able to, I think, capture for the most part the score of it, but there were some trills and there were some elongated notes that I was like, ooh, I want to hold that shot on Dominic, or ooh, I want to cut to himself as the young person. So it was what John gave me after he looked at the first edit that inspired me to then go back and edit it again to kind of almost yes and, to use an improv term, yes and what he gave me. So it really was a give and take. And Sophia, you're an artist. I mean, what I love so much, whether it's theater, television, film, I love the art of collaboration, and that truly best idea wins. If I knew what the emotional landscape of this sucker needed to be from day one, however, I'd be stupid when I'm having all of these smart people in the room and not like lean in to their instincts.
Right.
It was a really, truly collaborative environment.
Absolutely. People's talents and their ideas just make your vision so much clearer, so much better than it could be if you did it independently. I love that. You shouting out everybody who's involved because they were all amazing. And the cast, shout out to each and every one of them. How did you direct this? Because as you said, it's like a silent film and we're just hearing the music. So much of it relied on the emotions that we're seeing. Dominic is just by himself with this guitar and he's killing it and showing us so much without saying a word. And then you see, dialogue going back with Aiden and the other actress. And so how did we direct this? What did it take?
You know what? And Dominic told this to me, which was, such a big compliment, because Dominic has worked with some of our best directors in film and television. He appreciated that I approached it as I would a theater piece. We leaned with Dominic. He first and foremost, he trusted me. It's a very vulnerable state to be in. To go, when people see the film, you'll see the emotional journey this man goes on. And I had him dig deep into very, very dark and nuanced and textured emotions that take a lot out of a person. It also took a lot of trust for him within me to release that and to not know exactly how it was going to be edited. And so for Dominic, it was quiet. I needed it quiet on set. It was really just me, the DP, and Dominic. And we would have a lot of face to face moments. I'd also be calling out emotional cues that I knew for Dominic would be able to activate his sensory. We built a shorthand on that set, Sophia, that it was almost like, oh my God, our 25 years of friendship came together in that moment. And with Aiden and Mike, it was, especially when they would argue, they were using real words in the moment, but I was getting tough. I knew both of them personally. I always create a safe space and a safe set and in a set of trust. I was able to activate their sensory, their emotional journey through knowing them, but also through knowing what they're able and capable of. And I wanted for each of the three actors to be able to, at the end of the day, feel like they left it on the field in terms of all of the moments of emotions, so that when I was in editing, I could pick, the lows, the mids, the highs. And I couldn't be more proud of them. And again, I'm just beyond grateful. I know what I was a performer for 25 years. I know what it's like to be so vulnerable. And so I come into the room with that sensitivity and that understanding before I ask anyone to do anything.
Absolutely. And that's definitely a question I had for you, because you're an award-winning director of theater. You're a performer yourself. You've done musicals, you directed musicals, and then now here we are, you're directing a short film. How different is it from directing theater than directing film?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting you mentioned that, Sophia. Even before I directed my first film, when people have seen my theater pieces or even concert work that I've written and directed, a lot of people have always said, Will, you have a cinematic eye. And, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's because I've always been, since I was a little kid, a very curious person. I never looked at things straight on. I've always looked at things 360. I wasn't just looking, on the stage when I saw my first musical, Crazy for You, at the two leads. I was looking at the townspeople upstage right and looking at the conversation they were having. And I was curious about the backstory that they were having. I was looking how the sets and the costumes danced with the story and how it added to the narrative. So I've always, before I knew what directing was, saw everything, whether it be theater, television, film, concerts. For me, everything is rhapsodic in nature. There's a musical element to everything in my bones, that everything has a rhapsodic nature, an ebb and a flow. And it's just kind of like trying to find what that heartbeat is and then surrendering to it and allowing the piece to dictate what it wants to be.
I love that. Allowing the piece to dictate what it wants to be. Because you're just so open and you allow whatever's happening around you to just, I don't even know the words, but I'm seeing, I'm feeling what you're saying. And when it came to the old Guitarist, what are you hope, because the way you speak about seeing art, I could tell that you're always wanting to hear the story behind it, what's happening behind it. What are you hoping people get out of watching the old Guitarist? What's the message you're selling with this film?
You know what? It's a great question, Sophia. That's a really great question. You're really good at your job. By the way, shout out to Sophia.
Oh
You
my
are such a
gosh,
freaking
Will.
you are such a freaking star. Come on now.
I'm gonna come out
Um,
of this interview with the biggest head. So just letting you
yeah,
know that.
good. And people better
Back to
watch
you.
out for you. Anyway, great question. I want people to feel, just to feel. Look at, we have lived, especially these last 3 years, in a collective trauma. I hope that people can feel. I hope that people are able to maybe, for 6.5 minutes, escape into an emotion, whatever that is, whether it's, I don't know what the hell I just saw. That was the worst 6.5 minutes of my life. I was so moved and I do not know why. I feel like crying and I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate. I can maybe take a step back and appreciate the bad times because I know that the good ones are around the corner. You know, messages of even though loved ones are no longer with us, perhaps they still are in some way. I really want to leave it open. And that's what, again, what is so beautiful about what I learned after the fact. The specific assignment of a short silent film
Mm.
is that the writing can be done through acting, through music, through cuts, through fades, and that it allows the audience, each and every specific human being,
Mhm.
whatever language you speak, wherever you're from, that there becomes a universal language of the human condition, especially when you're having a piece that's really, whose really heartbeat is the action and the music. That's very universal. So that's what I guess what I'm most excited about. Again, long-winded, is the universality that hopefully people can walk away with.
Absolutely. That's the perfect, as you were talking, all I was thinking about how universal this film is. No matter what people connect to, whether that's audible, is that even a word?
I
Visuals,
I love
music,
audibles. Great.
right? Or just watching this in silence, or just not
Yeah,
even watching it and hearing it. And,
that's right.
no matter what, I think they can feel from this film. And I know that I was going through a lot of emotions without even knowing, oh, wow, this is from Picasso's piece. So just hearing that, knowing that this is all built off of a dream and that it was inspired by Picasso's painting, I mean, it's more and more comes on top. It's so amazing. I'm sorry I can't even speak because
No,
I'm just
Sophia,
feeling so
actually,
much. It's just,
well, I
I
want to
love
say that
talking to you and I love this
it
film.
it's affirming for me too because card revealed one of my biggest um one of my biggest now I'm at a loss for words. One of my biggest I'm not sure what to do's. Look at
Mhm.
that. Was in editing, and I was like, do I tip the hat at the beginning through a visual that this is Pablo Picasso's painting? And then I decided to just save it for the credits and just do a slow fade up so that, again, allow people to have the experience they want without kind of dictating to them, this is based on the old
Yeah,
guitarist. Go on a journey. No, allow people to be like, what the F is going on? Let them connect the pieces as they'd like. And then at the credits, if they stay for it, you'll just see the slow fade up of Pablo Picasso's old guitars. You know what I mean?
absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're way past the time I was supposed to stop at, but I don't even care because this was amazing. I want to thank you for just being open and allowing me to interview you, for making the old guitarist. Shout out to you, Luke, everyone. I mean, all the names you mentioned, everyone involved. You guys did an amazing job, and I'm so excited for audiences like Garden State Film Festival to watch this and to
Sophia,
feel something.
I want to thank you so much, and I hope that people not only obviously watch this. My husband's watching. Hello, Joseph. But
Shout out to Joe. Your
is
husband's
that
amazing.
to look back at your interviews and look at all of the beautiful work that you, Tatiana, and the entire team at Garden State Film Festival in providing a platform, a safe space for the artist
Oh.
to speak about their film. It's rare, but you do it with such genuine love and light. And so I thank
You're
you.
gonna make me
Sophia.
cry. I'm
No,
very
seriously.
emotional, okay? And you're tears of joy. Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Talking to you is a meditation. Let me just say that it's a healing process, and I've enjoyed every single moment. And let me tell everyone watching how they can see the old guitarist and meet Will, because you will be coming to the Garden State Film Festival. I'm so excited to meet you in person.
Me
It will
too.
be screening at the Berkeley Hotel in the Continental Room Saturday, March 25th in the film block 2:45 to 4:45 p.m. So definitely check it out. Meet this amazing artist and amazing human being. Will, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Me too.
Congratulations. Can't wait to meet you in
I
person
can't wait to
officially.
meet you. Thank you.
I'll see you soon.